So here I am. I had a passing by friend one time say the phrase, and I've repeated it before, that ego is man's most strongest narcotic. And I believe that. Yesterday, I did my show and I planned to talk about, me ending my fast and striving to do better. And, sometimes where the show takes me and stuff. I had a little bit of time, but the show ran a little bit long. And I got kind of caught up on things. And first, Donning Armour came on my show, and then Howard. And Donning had talked about that he had called into the Hague report. And then Howard, he came on, and his name was, I think it was Lucille Ball. I could play the show, but I don't want to. But he we went back and forth, and I kind of humor Howard. Hello, Darren. How are you? Darren is in my show now. I just say hello. But yeah, he came on and basically wanted to talk about a picture that was. Let me see real quick. I might. You know what? I might just share. Well, okay. So Darren says that he is on the top of a mountain.
To maybe help you with your
Now, I might just share. And I wanted to go into what Howard had said to me. Okay, I said, Howard seems to thrive on conflict and has become an albatross to my show. Donning Armour says, Amen. Republic of Liberty, who is Howard. Republic of Liberty, who is Howard, said, "You are you are gutless, Brian. You have jumped from the frying pan into the fire. Ask JP." What that means. If you don't know the fire, it drinks. You'll recognize it soon enough. By then, it will have been too late. So again, he plans on taking punitive action against me. He plans to punish me for the way I treated him on his show. And I guess Howard always says that when I invite him on, it's no longer my show, it becomes his. And he expects no pushback from that. Well, Darren is at the top of the mountain and he has to take off. So I wish you good luck as well, Darren. And, perhaps I was a little bit more vigilant with him because of his past behavior, but he doesn't choose to show anything to prove. Any concerns that I have of his behavior, he rather belittles. And again, me and him are, like we may have certain political views that we hold the same, but as far as personal life is concerned, we are completely different. I'm a person that strives to give people respect, sight unseen, and people who work for a living, like as Howard said, he's been kicked out of every Starbucks. That is something that would never necessarily happen to me. I certainly want good service, but that doesn't mean that I'm going to do things in the manner in which he chooses to do them. But Howard's ego is so huge, I think anyway, that he'll get himself kicked out. I don't think he cares whether he's doing that or not. And but to me, it's all for nothing. And like I said, he is someone who, if you slight him, he will take it very badly. And I've known of Howard. Nobody knows somebody completely, but I've known Howard for over 10 years, and I know that he's had, problems with quite a few people. And to be honest, these people have also had drama with other people as well. And, Howard takes it offline. He will take it offline and into your personal life because it's kind of what he likes to do. He says he's a troll and a liar. And he often asks to come on my show, and I do accommodate him. And I continue to accommodate him. And when he comes on, he says, now it's his show. I know I'm repeating myself. And Howard claims that he's, smarter than me, better than me. Of course, he won't do his own show, because why do his own when he can do mine? And if I don't accept his terms, are the terms that he wants, and I choose to remove him from my show, he'll take it as a slight, and he'll get vengeful. The reason I kicked him off or removed him from my show the last time is I wanted to control. I wanted to gain control. I said, no talking when I'm talking, and I will control the mute button. He continually takes himself off the mute button. If I put everybody on the mute button, Howard would be the only one that would have a problem with it. If I make rules, Howard would be the only one that would have a problem with my rules that I make for my show that I'm having. And when I went to enforce my rules for my show, he took it as a slight. And now he says, I've jumped into the fire, the the fry pan into the fire, or whatever that means. I think it's Aesop fables. And of course, I don't want someone coming after me. I don't want someone trying to hurt me. And Howard certainly is capable of inflicting pain on people. But that's the kind of thing that Howard does if he feels wronged. Doesn't matter what he does or what he did initially. Most people, if they come onto a show, agree that that is that person's show. Most people do not behave the way Howard behaves. And by the way, if you want to, if you go on, you click on it, it is February 18th show, Stoic Calm. And yeah, you can choose to listen to that and maybe give your opinion on that. Perhaps I was a little on the gun, but I've been dealing with his behavior for quite some time and his disrespect of my rules. It's kind of like he's asking to come over to my house and then trying to run my house. We have Joey. Joey, how are you?
I'm doing all right. What's up, Darren? He's listening.
He was, but then he had to go. Joe, how are you? How have things?
Good.
You were around when I removed Howard from my show.
Mm-hmm.
I said Howard seems to thrive on conflict and has become an albatross to my show. Donning Armor says, "Amen." And then Republic of Liberty says, "You are a gutless coward. You have jumped from the frying pan into the fire." Ask JP what that means. Does that mean anything significant? Do you know what that means?
I've never heard that before, but it's funny. And I'm wondering, I'm not sure what he means.
Well, again, Howard does things that, like I said, he's a very vindictive, and I think to a degree, a very toxic person.
So what did he say after that?
Oh, if you don't know the fire, it drinks. Why am I laughing at that? If you don't know the fire, it drinks. You'll recognize it soon enough. Then it'll have been too late. What does that even mean?
I mean, is that, as opposed to a frog in boiling water, maybe?
Yeah, well, I mean, I already know that this person, from past experience, is a vindictive person when he feels wrong, and he feels wronged by me.
You are very vindictive, Howard.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so how do you think you're going to be able to go forward? Are you going to bring Mr. Howard back?
If he wants to defend himself, I mean, again, why someone would get upset by being removed? It's like, move on. He's taking advantage of the years that I've known him. He's taking advantage that he knows me for a long time.
Well, you have to remind him that you don't live in yourself 5 years ago, 2 years ago, 10 years ago. You live in the right now, in the moment. And so, if he brings up stuff from the past like that, or uses stuff from the past against you, I mean, that's, it's typical of somebody who's not living for the moment. And your show has changed, so Howard also, if he wants to be part of it, should also be able to adapt to that but it's not, we're not basing this show on our previous shows and our previous content. I'm not sure if that's what you're talking about, but what is he? What can he?
The thing is, he's familiar with me, and he has a behavior pattern that he doesn't want
to remind him. You have to remind him to be right now. We're not going backwards in time. Starting now.
Yeah. And the thing is, he doesn't want. If I have rules for my show and rules of conduct, he will be someone who doesn't want to follow them, and then he takes it as slight that I have rules. And the reason that I kicked him off was I said, hey, there's going to be a mute button, there's going to be a mute button, and he's the only one. If I put somebody on mute, if I put someone on mute, he's the only one that will take himself off of mute. It's like, that's unacceptable. And then and the only way to resolve that problem is for him to be removed. I don't want to remove him, but if you're removing the mute button, then no, I can't have that. Give me a break, man. That's just it's disrespectful. Dennis Dyke says, very interesting life lesson that JP is sharing. And yeah, we live in the now. And
now. And if we could pull Howard into the now, I think that we can have a pretty good show moving forward, talking about things. And I often remind him that isn't there a point when, it's an ancient proverb, but and it may have been in the Bible, but it said, when I was a child, I thought like a child, and when I became a man, I thought like a man. And there's really, it's unfortunately, there's really no going backwards. You can keep yourself young, and you can and do all of these things that kind of help make progress in this sort of fake reality that we're given. This fake, I should say, a fake awning that covers reality, but it's not reality. Reality is just growing up. And Howard has a tough time sometimes accepting his role as an adult, as an maybe the type of person who carries with him some knowledge and can share that, and he doesn't want to do that. And I understand why, because people are jackasses, and they won't. He realizes that no matter how deep into his bag of wisdom he goes, that oftentimes a lot of people will either ignore or just try to pick a fight. So I get it.
Well, it's not even his bag of wisdom. It's not his intelligence. It's the way he goes about it, and it's a very he has a very toxic manner about him. And he's like, and again, he doesn't want to work. He only sees his way. I've said, Howard, you can do this on your own show. You can have your own show. You can even promote your show on my show. You can send a link. And he doesn't want to do that. He just wants to overtake my show. And, that's not decent. And
what's going on here in the chat room? When I was a child, I spoke like a child. I thought like a child. I reasoned like a child. When I became a man, I gave up childish ways. There you go. That's exactly what I was thinking.
and to me, his ways are, I don't know, they seem rather juvenile, you know, and he gets a glee out of inflicting pain on those he feels have wronged him or slighted him.
You know, I would remind Howard of this quote. I've said this to him. I've read this verbatim to him, and I, you know, I always want to remind him that, because I'm not, I love staying in a young mind, but there are times when you need to adapt.
Yeah, and I think the way Howard acts is rather immature. I could, like I said, it seems like it's almost high school drama time the way he acts sometimes. He looks for someone to slide him, and like he does something first, and then they may do something worse. But he looks to escalate things all the time, and antagonize and instigate stuff all the time. And granted, these people may be difficult, but usually people try to remove themselves from difficult people and try not to antagonize him. But Howard will instigate and antagonize people if he doesn't get his way. He actually reminds me of a homeless man that will always, will tend to make comment. He often will say, he was going to a church that was set up to feed the homeless and the underprivileged during the time of COVID, and the church is rather progressive, and so it has some gay symbols. And the man kind of piped in, God made Adam for Eve, not Adam for Steve. And my thought, and I told him, I said, even if you believe that, what good does that do? What good does that comment do except anger people? And nobody asked you for your comment. You're there because you want food, and you're objecting to their progressive views about homosexuals. And I may not agree with it, but if I'm there to get food, that's my first priority. And I want as much fair treatment and good treatment as I can get. And I pick my battles. And Howard doesn't, again, he doesn't know, he doesn't even, I don't think he considers me that this is, I don't think he considers the fact that this is a YouTube channel that you and I created. And, we've put a little bit of work into it. And it's kind of like our property, or the property that we're renting from YouTube. But at the time, we're kind of in control of it. And Howard doesn't respect that. And why would I want that around me? Even if he says things that are super intelligent, are super relevant, if it comes with his behavior, and I want to choose to move on, he doesn't want to give me that right. He doesn't want to give me the right to control my show. And Donning says, few things can turn loved ones against each other than religion, politics, and truth. And some say the truth is subjective. And, I think Howard and I have a different view on reality. And I don't think we're gonna come to a shared reality. I would never behave in the manner that Howard behaves. Joe, do you have anything to say? I think I'm perhaps beating a dead horse, and I don't want to continue to do that.
No, I still like Howard. I still like the show. I think you need to stay away from talking heads of YouTube and just stick with your own thoughts. I think you're better off finding the stories you want to talk about, the ideas you want to talk about. But if I were you, I would stay away from these monkeys like Tim Pool, who is a nuisance. He's worse than Howard. He's destructive. He's the mainstream media, and he's a piece of garbage.
I think we need to. That would be an interesting talk about that, and I would be interested in going over that. I believe that Tim Pool, for me anyway, is an ultimate red pill. But I can agree to disagree on that. I also, again, I believe that Howard, Tim Pool does not come on my show. It's Howard that comes on my show. I wish Tim Pool would come on my show. I would, but
Tim Pool is a fearmonger, and actually Howard can be a fearmonger too.
Well, he's trying to stoke fear in me. And there are a lot of people that really,
Yes, and Tim. The only difference is Tim Pool has the audience, and he reaches a lot more people. But if you look at the content, he's full of fear peddling, and then he charges to boot. At least one thing you could say is because a lot of people get accused for shilling and all that kind of thing. When that is one thing that we haven't done is charge. We've done all our stuff. We've put out content now for 10 years, and maybe it's not worth a penny, and that's fine. But it's at least it's mostly our views.
And Donning Armor says, I agree, Dennis. I think Brian wants to have a conversation, but not everyone shares that sentiment. And that's true with Howard. I mean, he only wants to steer a conversation his way. And, there are other people that come on my show, and Howard, again, everybody at times will talk over and maybe interrupt, but Howard does it, like he's the worst offender. And Howard also, again, the reason I kicked him, the reason I removed him from the show is because I was explaining the rules and he chimed in, and I'm like, enough. I'm not gonna, you continue to cross that line, and he crosses it every time. I don't care what he says, but I care that that his behavior is that he will not listen or obey the rules that I have set up at that time. And I don't need that. He doesn't respect me. Why should I have someone on who doesn't respect me? Go on. And I just also want to mention that a lot of people don't like Donning Armor on my show because they object to his views about race. But the one thing that Donning Armor does is he does respect me. He doesn't talk over me. He doesn't talk down to me. But Howard does, and he does it very often. And he kind of one of the things that he'll talk about what's in the background of my the computer or whatnot. It's like, what's that got to do with anything? Why? He knows, and he also knows that I don't really care to have that stuff brought up. I don't mind it, but it's like he just tends to steer the show the way in which he wants to steer it, and it's like, God, so annoying. Anyway, Joe, do you have anything to add before I call this show a day? Joe?
No, I think we're good. Dennis, let's see what's Dennis got here. Brian never has a topic, so he allows it to go sideways. That's not true. That's not true. In fact, if you go back, Dennis, look at Stoic Calm, maybe not. You kind of don't put the title up there, but most of our shows have a title. It's not our fault if you call in and have not looked at the title. At the very least, check out the title. And in this case, Stoic Calm 2/19/22. I could appreciate that because Brian's doing a show about today. So,
and I might do, you know what? I may do some movie reviews as well, you know, and do things like that.
we've
But I
done all
just,
kinds of topics. Movies would be great. There are no good movies, though. You'll be very disappointed.
the movie, there isn't. Have you seen the trailer for Elvis yet, Joe?
Elvis? No. Is there a new Elvis movie coming out? What the hell? They got to
Yeah.
keep that lie going, or is it like? Are they finally telling us that it was? You know, all of these things are just hoaxes? Are they trying to sell us a news story about Elvis's drug abuse? Blah 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 blah.
Well, I think, you know what? I think I will play the trailer, and you'll tell me
Yes, let's play it.
what you think.
Speaking of Elvis, Scott is here, by the way.
Scott, my favorite.
Okay, Dawning Armor says, my views on race are as such. Race is real, normal, natural. It makes us different. That is what matters. I guess what makes us different is more important than the fact that we all start at the same beginning. Dawning, you're such an idiot. Please dig a hole and stick your fat head in it.
All right, let me let me play the trailer, please, and you'll tell me what you think, Joey.
Yes.
This will be before we leave.
Obviously, it's interesting.
There are some who make me out to be the villain of this new story.
What's that?
I can't see it for some reason. Can anyone else see it?
Oh, you know what I think? You know what I think happens?
Does YouTube block it?
Yeah,
They don't let you stream it. Those bastards. It's not enough that we pay for this service, StreamYard. Wow.
Let's see if they play it now. I can't see it.
Or you just can't. Yeah, you can't make it big.
With destiny? Or does it just come knocking at your door?
He's a young singer from Memphis, Tennessee. Give him a warm, hayride welcome, Mr. Elvis Presley. Get a haircut, buttercup.
In that moment, I watched that skinny boy transform into a superhero.
Now, I think he looks a little bit like Scotty. I could be wrong. Okay.
He was my destiny. I wish to promote you, Mr. Presley. Are you ready to fly? I'm ready. Ready to fly.
Tomorrow, all of America will be talking about Elvis Presley.
I can't move, I can't sing. Some people want to put me in jail as well as moving.
They might put me in jail for walking across the street, but your thing is white.
The way he sang is God-given, so there can't be nothing wrong with it.
Martin Luther King has been shot to death in Memphis.
That's all right for you.
Tragedy, but it has nothing to do with us.
It has everything to do with us.
Oh, my Lord, my Lord, I'm hungry for your touch.
Brother once told me the things are too dangerous to say. Even before the show, and nobody's gonna remember me. I need to get back to who I really am. And who are yours? I just gotta be making the most of this thing while I can. This can all be over in a flash. We are the same, you and I. We are two odd, lonely children reaching for eternity. The greatest show on earth. So, there's left to go with.
Joey, what'd you think? Joey?
Dude, first of all, I hate biopics. Second of all, there's a reason that there are literally hundreds of movies about Elvis. And that's because it was a big lie. And they want to tell us the movie industry will do anything to protect that story. And so we have to be continually reminded of what a fat, drunken, drugged out pig this guy was, and croaked at the end, and had this. You know what? It's all BS. It's all garbage. The whole story of Elvis is a made up nonsense fictional account, all done in a little studio, just like the Red Hot Chili Peppers say in their song Californication. But nobody seems to get that these days. And you are in love with Hollywood. And I guess I should be too. I mean, I'm appreciative growing up here in California and all that. But the movie industry, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, the movie industry sucks. And they need to start putting out some new movies. We don't need another Elvis movie. There's already been 100 of them. Baz Luhrmann, give me a break.
I was a fan of Hollywood back in the day, and I was a fan of Hollywood in the 80s and in the 90s. But recently, it's become very woke, and the people in Hollywood are very vindictive, disgusting, seem to be very vindictive and very self-righteous, sanctimonious people who absolutely kind of disgust me, and I really want nothing to do with them. And but this film might be good. I got a little bit when I first looked at the trailer, Joe, I got a little tinge of emotion, and I believe the Elvis story. I know you consider it, and I don't know what you think is fake about the Elvis story. There's a lot of interesting things about Elvis that
It's not so much Elvis as the individual, it's Elvis as the image and what he represented and what he became and his arcing story and its impact on society. And in my view, all of rock and roll, as far back as it goes, was always about that deal with the devil and the meeting at the crossroads. It's all about kind of like almost an alchemical transformation of the world through music and drugs, and it's a giant psychological operation. There's a lot of guys that cover it really well. There's a guy who did the whole thing on Laurel Canyon, but I think it becomes more clear when you start to see, especially the larger bands like, the Beatles and everything had a lot of movable parts, and people just, they kind of look at it from the surface story. And I think like you're a fan, you enjoy the art of it. And I look at it from the sociological impact and in the long term, and what long-term positive impact has Elvis made on the world when it doesn't matter how many cute little songs you make, but you're going to end up barfing yourself in a toilet in a hotel room somewhere. I just give me a break. The whole thing is fake. And when you put it together with all the rock stars who overdosed on heroin at 27 years old, it becomes quite unbelievable when you look at it as a whole. And So I personally can't stand these sort of biopics based on what I think is a complete fake history of Elvis. I think it's just completely made up. I don't believe in anything. That's unfortunately these movies are going to have to do a little better than that. Use your imagination, Hollywood. Stay away from Elvis films. Are you kidding me? Wow.
Well, yeah. I mean, again, um, uh, I I think, yeah, Hollywood should have some new ideas and fresh ideas. And you know what I was thinking about. I wonder what your opinion is on Andy Warhol and the stuff that he used to do.
I would have loved to have met him, but I think he's just another character, just another strange character that gets funded and pushed into this kind of extreme popularity, and it's all about popularity and who knows what kind of connectivity these people all have. But I've never looked into him, but if you look into a lot of like the major musicians, especially from like the 60s and the 70s and that whole Laurel Canyon scene, what you start to see is like all of them have military connections. A lot of them are from military families, and it's just it's a pretty interesting study if you've never gone down the rabbit hole of rock music as really just a method of controlling people and shifting society towards something. I mean, who came up with this idea that of rock and roll? I mean, do people really act out in these ways in typical form to persuade you to do tons of drugs, dance in a giant mosh pit, elbowing the next person next to you, knocking people out, becoming obsessed with certain imagery and idolization, alcoholism, drug abuse, ending the family units as we once knew them. I mean, who is responsible for that? And people just want to say, yeah, man, there's this awesome guy with a guitar. We're all going to go take acid and go chill and fry our brains as we watch him play. The whole idea is completely insane, and it's a complete method of mind control. But it may be a road you've never gone down before. You never even looked at it.
There's a part of me that would love to almost recreate some of Andy Warhol's type of stuff, because the world is a stage. There's so much forbidden out there today, and I want to have a peaceful party where people can get together and talk and speak. But if you disobey the rules, you will be kicked out of the party.
I genuinely think the question is what's being hidden, what's not being presented. A lie by omission is still a lie.
Yeah.
And I think we've people are starting to realize that more and more, that there is a man behind the curtain, and everybody needs to start tugging the curtain a little harder. And so, because it's not a bad thing to want to make progress that way, by grabbing that fucking curtain, tearing it down, and seeing what's really going on behind the scenes. I shouldn't go. I don't want to go to another movie and pay them $15 to see their garbage. Keep your Elvis movie. I'm whiny today, but I'm trying to remain stoic.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, trying as well. And, Andy Warhol came across as a very stoic person, by the way. And I think maybe somewhat creating some of the things that he used to do and have the parties of freedom and free speech out there that we're trying to create. Because ideas should not be offensive, or as offensive as they as people have made them out to be, and at least as the establishment has made it out to be. Anyway, guys, like, subscribe, leave a comment down below, particularly if you disagree, and also share the video if you can. We really, we get shadow banned and whatever by YouTube. So like, subscribe, leave a comment down below, visit our Rumble page, because if we get kicked off of YouTube, Rumble will be our next step. Thank you.